It is disheartening, deeply disheartening, to witness a people born of the same soil, carved by the same winds, cradled by the same rivers and nurtured by the same sun, turn upon one another over matters of identity, origin, and superiority. Across the land we now call South Africa, a storm of cultural confusion has been brewing for centuries. Nguni, Sotho, Khoisan, Tswana, Venda, Pedi, names of nations, yet also names of siblings. What are we fighting over? A name? A boundary? The illusion of being first or pure? We forget that before the words, before the labels, there was only one truth. We are one. Today, we walk the long road of memory, across plains, over mountains, through lost kingdoms and ancient bloodlines. We will journey back, not only in time, but in truth, to rediscover the original unity of the Nguni, the Sotho, the Khoisan, and even the forgotten faces of the North. Because what divides us now was never our design. It was taught, it was planted, and we accepted it. But the time has come to unlearn, and to remember. It begins innocently enough, in a conversation, in a classroom, in a debate. One says, "We Nguni shaped this land's history." Another responds, "We Sotho were here first." Then comes a third, "We Khoisan are the true natives. You all arrived later." And suddenly the wound deepens. It has become common in modern South Africa to measure our worth by how long we have been here. As if antiquity alone grants ownership. As if the blood of a 300-year-old lineage is purer than a 250-year one. This is not just pride. It is pain. A pain created by colonialism and sharpened by historical miseducation. But the truth is this. These debates among us are not our heritage. They are the remnants of a broken narrative handed down to divide. We fight over fragments. We protect broken mirrors, forgetting we were once a single reflection. The Bantu people, a vast, powerful river of humanity, began their journey thousands of years ago in the rich heartlands of Africa. As they migrated eastward, westward, and southward, they carried with them knowledge, agriculture, cattle, language, iron smelting, cosmology, and memory. Among them were the ancestors of the Tswana, the Sotho, the Nguni, and others. And even further north, in the highlands of Uganda, Kenya, and South Sudan, lived communities who are today called Nilotes. Yet these so-called Nilotes were not separate from the Bantu. They were part of that same ancient wave, the same rootstock of black African humanity. Their tall frames, pastoral rhythms, and spiritual cosmologies were never foreign. In fact, many of them were, and are, Bantu by origin, language, and blood. The divisions drawn between Bantu and Nilotic are modern academic constructs that ignore the living history of mingling, migration, and shared ancestry that defined ancient Africa. The Kikuyu, the Luo, the Baganda, the Banyoro, the Dinka, the Ashali, the Turkana. These people were not foreign to us. They were part of us. As migrations happened, paths crossed, wars were fought, alliances were formed, and marriages were sealed. By the time the southern Bantu had reached what is today Zimbabwe, Botswana, Mozambique, and South Africa, they had already carried with them traces of the north, the Nilotic height, the Bantu tongue, the divine cosmologies of the Nile. We are not only southern, we are northern, we are central, we are the whole continent walking. Long before the colonial maps were drawn, before the name South Africa existed, there stood a kingdom, Mapungubwe. It was majestic, a high hill on the Limpopo River, where the first southern African kings ruled over a complex society of trade, gold, cattle, and sacred rule. Mapungubwe was not only home to the Bantu, but also to the abaThwa, the people we now call Khoisan. Their art, language, and spiritual practices were respected. The two peoples traded, married, and learned from each other. The kingdom was not built by one nation. It was built by unity. When Mapungubwe faded, its legacy did not die. Its children scattered, forming new nations: Kalanga, Venda, Tswana, and yes, the ancestors of both Nguni and Sotho clusters. The modern Nguni are descendants of Nguni, yes, but the name Nguni itself predates him. During Mapungubwe, those who lived in the kingdom were already referred to as Amanguni, a people of the sky, the falcons, the black royalty. Enter Mushweshwe, a leader not by might, but by wisdom. In the 19th century, during the upheaval of the Mfekane, or Difakane, he gathered together the displaced, Nguni, Tswana, Khoisan, and other wandering families running from bloodshed. He forged them into a new identity, Basotho. So when a Mzotho looks down on Nguni, he forgets he shares the same ancestor. For within the Sotho, there are Nguni clans, Tswana clans, even Khoisan bloodlines. The term Basotho once referred to all black-skinned people. It did not mean a political identity, but a human family, a melanated nation. The Nguni, too, were never a single tribe. They are a cluster of clans and subclusters: Zulu, Xhosa, Swati, Baka, Mpondo, Miasi. They all trace their origins to Nguni, but their bloodline traces back even further, to the Tswana Kalanga Hungwe stock. That same Tswana cluster birthed Gwadi, also known as Gumeda, also known as Madabane or Mswati, whose descendants became not just Nguni, but also part of the Sotho and Tswana royal houses. It is foolishness, then, to say that Nguni and Sotho are enemies, when their blood cannot be separated. And what of the abaThwa, the Koi, the San, the Bushmen? The story told about them is often one of marginalization. But that is not the whole truth. The abaThwa are not others. They are not footnotes. They are foundations. Their genes, too, are in our blood. The average height of many southern Bantu? That comes from the Koi San. Our facial features? Shared. Our spirituality? Intertwined. Even the Kingdom of Mapungubwe was co-established by Koi San and Bantu. And long before colonization, intermarriage between the two was common. So how can we now deny them a seat at the table they helped build? We must also remember that Africa was not isolated. We traded with Asia, Arabia, and beyond. Arabs, Indians, Persians, Hebrews, and Indonesians visited these coasts, and sometimes stayed. Some of their blood mixed with the local peoples. They were absorbed into the clans. Today we may call them colored or mixed race, but in ancient times they were simply Africans by origin. These interactions did not begin with the Dutch or British. They are thousands of years old. The southern Bantu people carry traces of these interactions, just as the Koi San do. If we do not stop fighting over who is more African, more native, more worthy, we will destroy ourselves. Colonialism worked because it turned brother against brother. Apartheid survived because it divided black into categories: Bantu, Koi San. Tribal identities were weaponized. We were told to forget the rivers that flow between us, to forget the grandmother whose name all our grandmothers shared. So now we must return to our memory, return to our shared humanity, return to the knowledge that Nguni and Sotho are siblings. Koi San are not separate. The northern Bantu and Nilotic people are family. Tswana and Kalanga are bridges. We are not different peoples. We are different chapters of the same book. So when you see a Xhosa woman, a petty man, a Koi child, a Swati elder, a Venda farmer, a Dinka warrior, or a Kikuyu singer, do not see a stranger. See yourself, your blood, your history. See your people, because we are one blood, one people, one Africa. And when we stop arguing about who came first, we will finally arrive together.